They proved it this week. The South won.
Oh, did they?
Because they can get rid of all the black voting districts now, and minorities don't matter, and pretty soon the blacks will be slaves again, probably. In a perfect America under John Roberts' Supreme Court and Brett Kavanaugh, they're all going to be. We're gonna take away all the rights of everybody that's not a white Christian.
Man is convinced that it's okay to have slaves because it's in the Bible. Let's listen further.
A step further. It is not inherently evil to own another human being. I know, just wait. Some of you guys are really upset, but let's talk.
And now he wants to talk through it. Owning another human being is not inherently evil. Let's keep listening.
Through this, because it is very important that every Christian affirm what I just said. And not only should they affirm it, every Christian in today's society should be able to defend what I just said. Okay? Every Christian should be able to defend it. Big evangelicalism has been getting this wrong for years, basically since the advent of Big Eva. They haven't had a good answer for the slavery issue. All right, Christians in America have been led astray on this topic. They've been led to believe things that the Bible doesn't teach. And when we go beyond the Bible, there are dire consequences.
Baby, if you want to know what these racist white people are teaching their children and their families, this is it. So I'm going to say this, and it's a hill I'm willing to die on. Black folks need to get on code because they believe that there was nothing ever wrong with slavery, the institution of slavery, owning human beings. And baby, they can't wait to get back to a day when they can have a redo. And so they gonna try it. The plan is in motion as we speak. They've been dreaming of this. Black folks, we need to get on code. Because I'm telling you real quick, up front, out loud, I shall not be nobody's slave. Won't happen. You can take me up out of here now. Won't ever happen. And that's on Harry.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are doing great wherever you are watching us from. What if I told you the most dangerous part of slavery isn't just what happened in the past, but the idea that some people still try to defend today? As a black man, hearing people casually debate whether one human being can own another is very disturbing, because history has already shown us what happens when human beings are reduced to poverty, labor, or statistics. So today, let's talk about why these conversations matters and why we still never become so comfortable with history that we stop recognizing its warning sign. Anyway guys, let's dive straight into the video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like and share the video to help the channel out. I'll be back with my commentaries.
Alright, so I'm just... I woke up late today. I haven't woken up late, and I can't remember when's the last time I actually, overslept through my alarm. And it's just all the stuff going through my head and stuff. House Bill 1484 from Mississippi. House Bill 1484 from Mississippi is trying to be passed in the state of Mississippi, which basically states that if you are an illegal alien, it would be life imprisonment. not deportation, life imprisonment. So all that stuff that I was telling you about those, you know, getting free labor and having people work and having them as basically like working camps, it's coming into fruition. And the thing is it's being put out there. The thing is each state is doing it differently, and they're doing it quietly within their own sessions. They're covering it up by showing you the big level stuff. So you see the executive order that Donald Trump signed. But then, since, like I said, that's not a policy, that is just an executive action, which means the states can then enhance it however they choose to. Because it's basically like a guideline. There's nothing in law that says, hey, you will do this, 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 and this, and only do this. Or you can't do that. So the states can take it upon themselves, like Mississippi has, to make a bill that if you are an illegal alien, you are going to get life imprisonment without parole. Let me say that again. Life imprisonment without parole. So you have people that have rioted in a federal building and were supposed to be in jail, but they can get out of jail and get pardoned. But an illegal alien, it doesn't say that they have to be criminally involved. They just have to be an illegal alien, which they can be working here and be a first-class person here. They just going through the process to become a citizen. They will get life imprisonment. Like, what is this country coming to where people just think that it's just like okay to just like upend a person's life because they don't agree with what they are? Because fine, it's a legal alien, I understand that. But life imprisonment? Like, I thought we were deporting them. Now it's life imprisonment? So basically y'all just want free labor or basically slavery to be done at your level. You just want to rebrand it but put it behind the laws to make it sound like it's good. Because the thing is now you could just claim, well, they're not citizens, so they don't have any rights. So we're just going to abuse human rights and throw somebody in jail for the rest of their lives. Like, this country is going to have a revolution of some sort. There's going to be something crazy that happens because this is starting to get out of line.
More divided now than it was when Martin Luther King marched when I was a kid. The Civil War was something that no one could do anything about because the whites, quote unquote, whites from the South are not the only ones that had slaves. Slaves are all over the world. Slaves still exist today.
Do you think there's a direct effect from slavery to how Black Americans are able to live today?
No, I don't. They have a chance to learn. They live in the best country in the world. If they open their eyes and listen, instead of just focusing on their little area and people that they hang out with, they would learn a lot.
But from what you said, it sounds like you were born before the civil rights movement.
Oh, yeah.
So Black people couldn't buy houses in your lifetime when you were maybe a baby.
I'm well aware of that.
You were 5. So you don't think there's any downstream effect?
I felt oppressed at that time.
Yeah.
But that's what Martin was trying to correct. Right now, I see so many people living off the government handout.
I'm pretty sure welfare use per capita is higher in red states than blue states.
Yes, but there's so many people living off of the government handouts. And that is not that much farther away from slavery. When they were a slave, they were given housing, food, clothing, medical care. The people asked them to work. Yes, there were landowners that were violent and mean to some of them, but there were others that were humanistic.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but you can't reform a white supremacy movement. And now, whatever group or political movement you just thought of when I said that, yes, that's the one I'm talking about.
So when the enslaved people in the United States gained their freedom, they immediately passed black codes, which are laws designed to make it illegal to be black and homeless. The police was formed to go around and arrest every black person they could find and to put them in prison. If you look up every state penitentiary in the South, you'll find that its location is right next to a historic plantation. Every day, these prisoners would be taken to the plantation they were freed from and forced to work for free. Only instead of the enslaver feeding and housing them, It's us. We're paying to feed and house them. And throughout America's history, any time that the prison population drops below a certain rate, there is some kind of push to fill those prisons. How come the war on crime and the war on drugs always targets black communities? Because I grew up in a small white town, and let me tell you, there's crime and drugs. But they know that they can rely on racism and bias to ensure that they can fill prisons with black bodies. Over the years, they've been able to arrest black men for whatever they want, with no one that looks like me questioning it. There are even times that the US government would actually import drugs, distribute them into the black community, and then go through and crack down on those drugs. And that prison labor is still used today for things like clothes and food and lumber to build our houses. When you buy something and it says Made in USA on it, there's a good chance that that was made using prison labor. But now with the BLM movement and everything being recorded, and more people who look like me starting to question why we have so many black men in our prisons, it's getting harder for them to fill those cells, which means that they are losing their enslaved people. And so now they're building new immigration detention centers. The goal of removing immigrants is not to reduce crime rates, it is slavery. The goal is always slavery. It is slavery funded by our tax dollars.
I realize I'm not really against slavery. Yeah. I did a lot of thinking, and I realized what I'm actually against is the chance of me being a slave. That's what I actually have the energy to stop from happening, right? If they announced that they were bringing slavery back next month, right, because Elon said it was more efficient. And in the press conference, they were like, you know, for obvious reasons, black people don't have to do this one.
Shopped at Walmart, McDonald's, Costco, even Whole Foods. Chances are you have purchased food that has been produced by slave labor. Slave labor legally sourced here in the United States. Legalized slavery thrives in the modern day prison system. And that's not some left-wing conspiracy theory. It's codified right in the 13th Amendment. In some states, prisoners earn as little as 16 cents an hour. And they build cars, harvest food, they go and clean hotels. It's interesting that they would say, well, they're not safe enough to be paroled, but they are safe enough to work off campus from the prison in private businesses that allow those private businesses to benefit from their labor. So it's okay for them to go work in a factory. It's okay for them to go work in a hotel or a motel or in the governor's mansion, literally, but it's too dangerous to parole them. Because you look at certain states like Alabama where they'll have prisoners that have not received parole after 30 or 40 years. And you know what? If they're too dangerous to ever reincorporate them in society, that's a different discussion. But if you're able to loan them out to private businesses, they're safe enough to be in the hotels and motels and factories and even governor's mansions. How do you then argue, on the other hand, that they're not safe enough to parole?
Isn't it interesting how people who start their videos like this,
so let me get this straight. Kamala Harris gets asked,
are also very likely to say things like this?
If everyone in a state wants something, go ahead and have it.
So if everyone in Alabama wanted slavery back, you'd be okay with that?
Sure. If everyone in the state wants it, go ahead.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, gives you a view into the minds of typical Trump supporters. They are fine in the abstract of leaving things up to the states and letting the people of the states decide what they want to do, regardless of what the broader implications are. And they think of this as a philosophical exercise, not really considering that one set of policies, while it might be targeted at one group, it'll eventually blow back on you as well. But it's always good to know that Trump supporters have no issue with slavery coming back because they feel like their whiteness protects them from the outcomes of that slavery being extended into their lives as well, because eventually it will.
I'm gonna hold your hand when I say this. Slavery never left us. It just evolved. Capitalism is now what it's called, got my people brainwashed. I'm talking living and dying by these jobs. Plantations turned corporations. Cotton fields turned into warehouses or office spaces. They selling dreams of financial freedom with the price of your time. Like, I'm sorry, Mr. Johnson, but my baby is turning 5, and I know you said during peak season there's no days off, but how do you expect me to tell my child the jobs don't care about memories? That they'll work you until you're just a memory and post your position opening before your obituary? Tell me. Tell me what's freedom when rent got you rationing on the first. When your labor makes billions for your company, but your check don't even cover your hearse? Tell me. Tell me what's freedom when you can't even afford to walk out that door. Can't afford to quit. Because debt will come for you just as quick as that whip and massa. Don't care if you got your master's. The only thing you're mastering is the art of the employee. Trained to put the plantation's needs before me. Certified to people please to save my humanity. Trading passions for paychecks. Dreams for nightmares. Freedom for fake security. We all a big happy family until that budget gets tight. So Congress can't make a decision. Now you gotta lean on your community just to feed your kids at night. How I give you 20 years of my life? Miss birthdays, suffer back pains and sleepless nights just to get replaced by someone you paying half the price. Tell me I'm not in chains when every time I hear that alarm clock ring, I can feel the dopamine leave my brain. Tell me I have control when my freedom lies on the accrual rate of my PTO. 12 years of school being told to dream big just as long as it's not bigger than my cubicle.
Who deem themselves superior, who see themselves as the civilizers, who recognize themselves as what we call manifest destiny, the white man's burden of civilizing all the rest of the races. How do you reconcile being the superior being and engaging in barbaric behavior? What that produces is something called cognitive dissonance. It's when you begin to feel conflict between what you believe or understand or hold to be true, and you are then faced with behaviors, either in yourself or others, that conflict with your fundamental belief. So in order for people to perpetuate slavery and to perpetuate that whole system that lasts for centuries, you had to remove all dissonance associated with it. Can't be anything wrong with me. Certainly isn't us. We're the civilizers. We're the superior. So it must be them. Now I can go to sleep because I'm not really dealing with a human being. He said, when the women and girls are taken on board a ship naked, trembling, terrified, they are often exposed to the wanton rudeness of white savages. The prey is divided upon the spot. Look at the choice of words, the prey. Resistance or refusal would be utterly in vain. And then he says, I sinned with a high hand. Yeah, and then he wrote Amazing Grace. So it's really important to understand that hand in hand with the behavior was a mindset that is so damaging.
We're not even a week into the Trump presidency, and we are already at the Make America Have Slavery Again stage. And what I'm talking about is Mississippi House Bill 1484. And mostly this bill is to establish a program where folks can become bounty hunters in the state of Mississippi and hunt down illegal immigrants, and you'll get paid $1,000 for every illegal immigrant you capture and turn in. And then another part of this is that these illegal immigrants will receive a life sentence in prison in the United States with zero possibility of parole. So in essence, these will be slaves. And right now, everyone who is talking about this bill, for the most part, is saying this will never pass. Like, it has no shot. Are you sure about that? Are you sure about that? Have you seen what's going on? I wouldn't be so sure. And also, if it does pass, it's not okay, but the people who think that it is okay, like, yeah, they shouldn't have come in here illegally, like, that's their fault. It won't stop there. Like, it's going to begin with illegal immigrants being the slaves, and they're going to add more categories of folks that can be imprisoned for life. Again, I hope this doesn't become a thing, but again, I would not be so sure.
So for everyone who believes that Donald Trump wants to take black people back 200 and 300 years and put us in chains, you all are forgetting one major thing. We have something called the United States Constitution, and in that Constitution, there's a 13th Amendment. That 13th Amendment was ratified in 1865, and it clearly states that slavery is abolished in the United States. He cannot take us back 200 or 300 years. The only way he can get rid of that amendment is if he gets a 2/3 majority vote in the House of Representatives and in the Senate to pass it in Congress. Do you really think that a 2/3 majority in the House of Representatives and in the Senate are going to repeal a decision made in 1865 that grants black people specific rights? And another thing I've noticed is that people keep saying he wants to take us back 300 years. Where did you see that? Where did you hear that? What interview did he do where he said, I want to take black people back 300 years? Because I've done some digging and I've done some research of my own. I can't find a shred of evidence where he said that himself. And I think that if somebody did say that, especially on camera, there should be video footage of it. See, a lot of you all are just going around repeating MSNBC talking points of what the news anchor thinks or what they have said about him, instead of doing your own research and forming your own conclusions.
Shut your 70s porn mustache having ass up looking like Jim Carrey from Me, Myself, and Irene. Do you know who this dude is? Besides being a certified mark-ass buster, he's also Pete Hegseth's pastor. And then there's this MAGA man of God, Joel Webbin.
Because here's the deal. It's like, well, with slavery, the richest black people on God's green earth are African Americans. If slavery never happened, then you would be in a grass hut. Yeah. Right? Well, we need reparations. Your reparations are that you get to live in America. You're welcome. You're welcome.
You get to have the Christian religion.
That's
live
right.
better than your ancestors.
The greatest moment in history for any brown or black country is the moment that the white man's ships arrive on your shore.
See, you the type of pastor to get caught with child porn, looking like Stan's dad from South Park. See, this is the problem with folks like this. They know of black people, but you don't know black people. And if you know any black people, it must be them Turning Point USA user-friendly kind of Negroes. Talking about we was blessed when you showed up. Oh yeah, we certainly were. So blessed to get your rat-trapped, smallpox-infested, lice-ridden ships on our shores. Our reparations is living in America? That's like saying that a woman should be happy because she's beaten, raped, and abused by a rich guy. Talking about, well, it's better off than it was in Africa. Fool, that's like you telling that lady it's better off than you were at your mother's house, knowing that you burnt the mother's house to the ground and then looted it and then talking about, look at all you got here. Let me tell you something. I went to Africa earlier this year and there are still people living in huts. And they happier than we are because they don't got to deal with you. And speaking of Africa, why did this master race that you're a part of go all the way to Africa to steal people to get out of the work of building your own empire? You're going to call us lazy. If you put us back in slavery, you got to let that lazy argument go. Enslaving black folks was the greatest vote of confidence in our abilities because you believed in our ability to build this more than yours. If you listen to the rest of that interview, dude is a quote race realist, that it's not a social construct. Race is a hard biological fact and black folks are just inferior. And I'm like, really? Cool. Why all the sabotage then? Like if we were naturally inferior, you could give us the very best conditions and we would not succeed. But you don't have to pass laws to stop monkeys from reading because they can't. You don't have to lynch dogs out of economically competing with you because they can't. The people who invented white supremacy knew it was a lie. Violence was the only thing you were actually superior at. And that violence is why you relapsing into this open-faced white supremacy now. Because realistically, and my boy Jay English broke this down to me, white supremacists are like a hit artist that is falling off and they're looking for why they were great. We got to get back on top because we're losing it. So what did we do before? Oh, we had slavery. We had Jim Crow apartheid, but you'll never get it back. You see, they know they're losing the demographic war that they set up. And then they know that globally speaking, the whole West is falling off. BRICS is about to surround them and they can't defeat China and Russia militarily. It's a wrap. So flags at half staff, buddy. That supremacist shit is over. Do you really want to play with slavery, man? Like that is a crime akin to genocide. Do you think you're more determined to put us in chains than we are to stay out of chains? You understand what slavery actually is? I don't think it's all mint juleps and southern hospitality and Negroes singing in fields. No, slavery was cannibalism. It was turning our skin into shoes. It was cutting off our hair and stuffing couches with it. It was literally raping us until we had new skin colors. It was you boiling us in vats of sugar to punish us for insurrection. Slavery didn't last so long because of our cowardice. It lasted so long because of your subhuman, inhumane cruelty. All that, and we still resisted. Like, do you realize how many slave masters we actually poisoned? Do you realize that insurance companies in Europe were formed just to protect ships from slave revolts? Do you realize that Nat Turner and Haiti and Jamaica were not rare? Slavery always been dangerous. Thomas Jefferson even said it. He said, listen, slavery is like holding a wolf by the ears. You cannot hold on and you scarcely can let him go. Harming us is dangerous. And this was before we had the Second Amendment and was knocking y'all bigots out, sending y'all on Jet 2 holidays left and right. But you stuck on slavery and racism while the world is moving on. You got cities that look like the Jetsons in Asia right now. Talking about Africa, Rwanda got flying cars and Ben had drone delivery service, and the American dream lives well all over the world but here. But since you bigots are into the Bible, I got a little scripture for you. Ezekiel 25:17. You remember this?
I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to poison and destroy my brothers. And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee.
Or you could just repent and be a decent human being. The choice is yours. Spread the word.
White people absolutely were slaves in the United States. And although any form of slavery is wrong, they were indentured servants. They were not forced into race-based intergenerational chattel slavery. That unique flavor of cruelty was specific to black Americans. After wealthy Anglo-Saxons realized that the different ethnic groups of poor white people and black and brown people were teaming up against them, the wealthy Anglo-Saxons assimilated the Polish, Italian, Irish, German into white status. They assimilated them into white supremacy in order to separate the poor whites from the black and brown Americans. That way the poor whites can say, hey, I'm poor, but at least I'm not black. And to this day, that tactic is still working. To this day, the wealthy white people are still benefiting from inducting the different ethnic groups of white people into white supremacy. If we as white people just realize that systemic racism negatively affects all of us, we could join forces and target both systemic racism and classism and make radical change.
Have you seen this? What? 25% of people have voted to bring back slavery. Well, that's a good thing. A good thing? Yes, back in the day the world was better. You're kidding, right? I'm a part of those 25%. Deputy! Oh, what am I? You're me? No, I haven't committed any crimes. I didn't say you did. It's my right to vote. We are in a free country. I didn't even say anything yet. Why are you here then? I'm here to tow you. Oh, tow? I'm not an object. I'm a human being. Not anymore. Oh. As a free country, we only tow people that have voted for slavery. We do not slave unwilling people. What? I voted for it to be back, not to be won. And how do you think we will choose them? Well, you take the, Oh, no, I don't slave. To the farm now. Yes. You better walk in to the farmer's land.
Welcome back, guys. When people hear the word slavery, many immediately think about plantations, chains, auction, and the brutal history of the past. And yes, slavery was abolished, but abolishing a system on a paper does not automatically erase every idea, institution, or attitude that grows from it. That is why some of the conversation happening today deserve some serious attention. When I hear someone says that owing another person is not evil, I don't see that as some harmless historical debate. I see a dangerous idea because once you convince yourself that another human being can be owned, controlled, or treated as less valuable, you have already crossed a very serious line. And this is bigger than politics. This is about human dignity. Look at the history of America. After slavery ended, Black Americans still faced black codes, segregations, discrimination, and systems designed to restrict their freedom and economic opportunities. So when people say that was a long time ago, just move on, I understand wanting to move forward. But moving forward does not mean pretending the past has no connection to the present. And then we have conversation today about prison level, immigration, poverty, and punishment. Now, I want to be clear. Not every modern law or policy is slavery. That comparison should not be thrown away carelessly. But we should absolutely ask questions when vulnerable people are placed in situations where their labor can be exploited, their rights weakening, or their humanity ignored. Because history has already taught us where that kind of thinking can lead. And here is another thing that bothers me. Sometimes people point to successful black American and say, see, if slavery was really that damaging, how did black people become successful? But that argument completely misses the point. The existence of successful black America does not erase slavery. It does not erase segregation. It does not erase discrimination. And it certainly does not prove that oppression was somehow beneficial. If anything, it shows the resilience of people who continue to build, succeed, and create opportunities despite enormous obstacles. I don't want revenge. I don't want another group of people to suffer because my ancestors suffered. What I want is honesty. I want us to understand history without romanticizing it. I want people to recognize dangerous ideas before they become dangerous systems because freedom should never depend on someone's race, immigration status, income, or political beliefs. As a black man, I refuse to believe that America has to repeat its darkest chapter before we learn the lesson. We can disagree politically. We can argue about immigration. We can debate prison reform. We can disagree about reparations. But there should be one line we never cross. No human being should ever be treated as property. That should not be controversial. That should be the foundation. And if we truly believe in freedom, then we have to defend that principle for everybody. Because history is not just something we remember. History is something we learn from. Anyway, guys, what do you think about this video? Drop your thoughts in the comment section and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Like and share the video to help the channel out. See you in my next video. For now, peace.